It's Moodle time.
All right, welcome back to Moodle time. This is the part 2 of creating a lesson. So again, don't watch this video if you're not ready to create lessons. If you don't think that's going to be something you'll do, then I mean, you can watch it, but it's a lot of work. All right, so go ahead and I guess it was already on. Go ahead and turn editing on. So that's the first thing you want to do. Turn editing on. And to save time in this video, I will make a new one, but I'm going to use my music lesson. I'm going to drag a copy and paste a bunch of that stuff so it's quicker. So first thing, you're going to go find the unit you want to put your lesson in, click down add an activity or resource, and then go ahead and scroll down to lesson and go add. All right. So again, what I'm trying to do here is add this lesson right here. And again, I would encourage you to create some sort of flow chart or some sort of structure of how you want your lesson to go. It can be really simple, and if it's simple enough, you might be able to keep it in your brain all sorted out. Otherwise, I'd recommend writing it out in some form so you can keep track. I referenced my flow chart every 5 or 6 minutes as I was making it, just to make sure I was getting things in order. So I will be referencing it again as we make it the second time. So this is the start. This is the name of your lesson, and so I'm going to call this one music. I'll call it music 2. So the other one was music. This one's music 2, and you can put a description here, and you can display that description if you want to, so that when they click on it, they know what they're getting. That's totally up to you. I'm not going to go through all these settings because I did that before. So I'm just going to say save and display, but feel free to actually change the settings that you'd like to. Now, I've done all the work of changing all the settings in theory, and now here I have the opportunity to make my lesson whatever way I want, take it whatever direction I want. So here I can import questions, I can add a cluster, and for all I can tell online, if you want to add a cluster, you're only doing that to add a cluster of questions to occur in a random order. So I'll show you how to do that, but I'd suggest if you don't really care if they're random or not, don't bother dealing with a cluster, because it's a lot of extra thought process to go into making that right. Add a content page. You'll be doing that quite a bit. And then add a question page. Import questions is different than add a question page. You probably won't do import questions or add a cluster. You'll probably do these last two. Add a content page or add a question page. And honestly, you can make a decent lesson out of just those two things, going back and forth from content, have some content, and then switch to questions to see if they understood what they just read. Okay, and there's some other things here, reports and grade essays, but there's nothing in this lesson right now. If I go to preview, there's nothing there, so there's nothing to preview. So first thing, let us again reference this flowchart. First thing to do is to put in the intro to good songs. So that's going to be a content page. So I'm going to add a content page, and I'm going to actually call it Intro to Good Songs. And again, I'm going to copy and paste from this other one that I did. Oh, don't do that to me. Let's try that again. There we go. Intro to Good Songs. And I just put in these good songs here. I actually imported the links for them. The songs I can just show you here. So these were videos. I clicked on this thing here, and I went through the link. If you go through the link and go browse, and even if you search it up on YouTube, like I got a name, you can search, and then you can find the video and click on it, and insert it. Then it's going to insert like this. That's going to be the name of it. And actually, I kind of like that. If, on the other hand, you insert through the video instead of a link, so if I go back to this video, or insert media, and I click on video and then browse, that way you get the exact same thing, except for it shows up like this instead of the text. When it's displayed though, it'll just fill the whole screen with your video. So anyway, just something there. I like this because then I can actually see it. But it doesn't matter which way you do it. Okay, arrange content button horizontally. Yeah, and that's by default. Display in menu. Okay, here is the content buttons. The content buttons is how you basically navigate out of this initial content page. So you definitely need to have at least one. That's why here it says required. But you don't need to have any other buttons. You don't have content 3 or 4 or whatever. So that's totally up to you. And so for this one, I actually just put, again, let me show you. I want a button that'll go to the test, the song IQ test. And so I'm actually just going to call it test your IQ, your song IQ. And then I would like to jump to that. However, that page is not being created. So you're going to notice that there's 2 phases to making a lesson. One is just to do all the content of each content page and question page and just put all of it down and ignore the jump part. And then the second time is when you link it all together. So if you're looking at this flowchart again, it's like you do the content, or question, content, question, content, question, or I guess it's a cluster. And then after that, then you link it all together. So that's where the flow of this flowchart comes in. And so all these arrows represent how they're linked together. You have to do that afterwards. So that's, again, why the flowchart is really nice, because then you can visually see what should be happening. So ignore it, just leave this blank. You could add something else. I know in my in mine I put a way out. I said I quit, songs are too difficult, and that would be another option, for instance, but you can have just so one option. Okay, click save page, and now the content page is done. It shows where it jumps to, and I don't care about where it jumps to right now because I'm going to change that after we put all the things in. Alright, so then the next thing is going to be after the intro song content page is the song IQ test, which is going to be a question. So I'm going to add a new page. It's a question page. And here I have 6 options: essay, matching, multiple choice, numerical, short answer, and true and false. And I'll show you one of each one as we do this. And multiple choice is the very first one. Add a question page. Yes, so the title of this, and again, what I've called this one is the song IQ test. And that's, so it's the exact same name as I put on the flowchart, so it helps me. And then here I could put another lesson here, whatever, another bit. Sorry, not a lesson, but the question for the multiple choice question. And so I say, which is the best song to listen to on a sunny afternoon? And then down here, there's answer 1, answer 2, 3, 4. And so for multiple choice, you need to have at least 2 questions. Otherwise, there's not much fun in this. And so I'm just going to put in a bunch of songs. So that's the first song. If I want to, I could put in like, oh, by the way, pro tip, the very first answer by default is the right answer. So always put that one in first. It'll save you a little bit of work. You could say, no, that's not the right one, and change this to 0. And then the next one you can say, no, this is the right one, like that. But you may as well save yourself a few seconds every time you put in a question thing, and just put the top one up there, the correct answer first. So have you ever seen the rain? You could have a response like, great job, when you get it right, or you can leave that blank. I wouldn't necessarily put in a response to everything. And then again, this jump, we're going to do that later. So all the jumps we're going to ignore first. And the score, you can make this out of 1, 2, whatever you decide to make it out of. I think it makes sense to just make questions out of 1. But you can certainly weight them heavier if you want to. And you should put in a few more ones. This is the wrong answer, so it gets a score of 0. I can add another answer here. And you'll notice I can add up to 4 answers. And that is because it's only 4 because in my settings right now, I have it set as only 4. And so maybe I should show you how to change that in case you wanted more. I'll just put in the 4th question here, and there we go. Okay, that's the same one, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Whatever, we'll have the same. Copy and pasted it wrong. Okay, so that, let's first save page. And then I want to, in order to change it so I can have more than 4 options, I have to go to the settings here, the action menu here, and go to edit settings. This is editing the settings for the Music 2 lesson, and that will be under, is it under appearance? Here we go. Under appearance, that you go there, and it says maximum number of answers. Right now it's set to 4. What if you wanted more? Let's say let's say you're like, wow, I want to have 10 perhaps. So I'm going to go ahead, save and display. Okay, go back to edit. Go back to editing this thing. You press the little gear here. Okay, now take a look. Answer 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have 4 all the way down to 10. So if you don't want to have to scroll through all this, I wouldn't just put it by default to 10 unless you have a good sense that you want that kind of flexibility. There's 4 different answers. You don't have to put in the 5, 6, 7, and 8. We can just leave it at 4. So save that page. So now I have put in a content page for Intro to Good Songs, and the Song IQ test is a multiple choice question. Okay, now the flow next could go, if you get it wrong, to the Really Are You Sure kind of page, and so I'll show you how to do that. We're going to add another content page, and that is going to be, it is going to be called Really Are You Sure? And what I want in there is actually for them to watch it again. Close your eyes this time. Now they're going to watch the video that I want them to get the answer for. So this could be again just more information. In a normal lesson, this could be more information for the students, or a bit of a review before they go on and answer again. And then the content, again, this is the button that they're going to press on. So I'm going to call, let's recheck your song IQ. It's going to be that, will be on the button for them to click. And again, don't worry about the jump. I could have a lot of buttons, 10 buttons, but I don't want that many. All right. So now I've taken care of those 3 things. Now I'm going to put in the country music one, the country music test, the parody music, and the best music, and all. I'll actually put these ones in very quickly here. I think I'll just cut it out of the video, and then I'll show you how to put in a cluster. Okay, I'm in the middle of putting in the country music test one, and that is a true and false one, so I'll just show you what that is. So again, you go to add a question page, and then you select on true false, add a question page. Now again, you need a name for this. I'm going to call it the country music test, and the question that's a true or false, or a yes or no, is country music good. So true and or false doesn't have to necessarily be true false. It could be yes, no, or two hopefully opposite-ish answers. And so for this one, it's going to be yes or no. And for this one specifically, I wanted to put my own comments so that if they said yes, then it's going to say, of course. Sometimes it is. And they'll get, so yes is the right answer. They get 1 point. And no is the wrong answer, but I want to put in this here true. Sometimes it isn't good, but why so negative? No points for you. And then it'll go to and jump to another page, but give them 0. So that's how you do a true and false one. So again, I'll skip ahead here. I'm going to show you how to do the cluster here of the questions. And again, use a cluster if you want the questions to come in random order. Otherwise, there's no point because it's extra work. So I've already done the parody music content and the best music content, as you can see here and here. And now I'm going to add a cluster. And the thing about a cluster is you start it off by adding a cluster, and then you put all your put a bunch of question pages, and then you end at an end of cluster. So it's kind of like you're creating a bracket of questions, or putting a bunch of questions in between open and close cluster brackets, if you wish. So it'll automatically give it a name, cluster, and you can keep that name if you like to. I'm going to just change the name to, I want to call this one for question final quiz. It's kind of an awkward name, but anyway, that's just what I'm going to do here. I'll keep it as a cluster there. There's not much here you can do here. I don't actually know why you'd change all of that. I guess you could though. And then unseen question within a cluster is what you should jump to. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So save that one. All I really did was change the name of it. And then the next is we're going to add a question. Now the first question I want to add here is a matching. Okay. Copy and paste some of the songs. Feeling matching. So it's the purpose of this matching is to match the song with the correct feeling. And there's a correct response and a wrong response in here. And we'll get to that after we put all the matching pairs. And again, you're basically giving the correct matching. Okay, and then if they match everything correctly, we'll go here. If they screw something up, we'll go there. Okay, so let me just put in some matching ones. So if it's the feeling is intense, that goes with The Sound of Silence by Disturbed. If it's like more of a chill feeling, that would be Don't Think Twice, It's All Right by Peter, Paul, and Mary. And you can see I can go up to 10, and that's because we made that change. So I'll go up to 4 here, or maybe just 3. I'm not sure. Maybe just 3. Let's do Happy, and that would be My Sweet Lord by George Harrison. Okay, so the correct response, I could actually have write something there, like great job, or yeah, I don't know what I'd say there, and then jump to. We're gonna just ignore that for now. Again, I'll show you all the jumps, and then you can see how much points they get for the correct answer. And right now it's just 1. If there's a lot of matching, you might want to give them more points, maybe, I don't know. And the wrong response, again, we'll change the jump, but everything else you could maybe say, give your reason why they're wrong, or what they should consider in order to get it right if you want them to reattempt. And then you can just save page. So now we've created this matching question. We're going to add a new type of question. And so we go ahead and go add a question page. And this next question is going to be a numerical one. So numerical, add a question page. The title of this question, it's going to be an age question. And I'm going to simply ask, how old are you? Okay. And so there can be a bunch of answers, and again, this wouldn't necessarily have to be a number, but if there's a bunch of answers, that some of the answers could be correct and some could be wrong, that kind of thing, but it's one that you fill out, you type out. So you're going to type out an age. So age is good. So if you say 40, then I'm going to say that's about right. And remember, that's answer 1, so that one's the right answer. Answer 2 by default is wrong. So, but really, say you said 20, then I might say you've got a lot of life left in you yet. And I'm going to change this also. You'd get full marks if you said 20, for instance. And I could answer a whole bunch more answers, but here, just take a look down here. It says all other answers. So you can, 20 and 40, that's only 2 answers. If they answer anything else, okay, then I want to put in a different response. Now, this is one thing to note. You have to click enabled if you want to use this option. If you just type in here and then save it and come back in, it'll be gone. It won't save it. It won't even display that option. And that I got burnt on that a couple times. So click enabled. I don't know why, but I don't believe you. And then you get 0 score. So if they put in 20 or 40, that's fine. I'll believe them. and those are right answers, but any other age, I'm not going to believe them. Okay, so we'll go save page. Now we're going to put in one more type of question, or maybe two more here. Yeah, I guess two more. Let's add question page, and we need to put in, let's do a short answer. And then we'll do essay. So short answer, again, this one will have correct answers to. So I'm just looking at my other Moodle. When I turn my head like this, I'm looking at my other Moodle so that I can copy and paste it quicker. I know it seems like it might be longer, but it's actually way quicker if I have it already. So the question is, what is the best song ever? And here it says the answer. Now, you want to make it a question that is obvious that there's a right answer. Otherwise, there's so many chances that they're going to get it wrong here. It depends on the listener. No one's going to get that. No one's going to type that in. But if they happen to type that in, I'm going to tell them you got a champ, and you'll get a score of 1. Now, all other answers are going to be wrong. And so I'm going to go ahead and go down to all other answers, enable it again, paste in what is best for you may not be best for someone else, and all that kind of thing. So there's no official best song, and you get 0 for that one. Okay, so I have all other answers, so basically it's either the right answer or the wrong answer. But maybe there's a bunch of different answers. You could go in here and you could add another right answer in here and change it to 1, that kind of thing. Okay, so now it's short answer, and we're going to add a new one, new question, and this one we're going to do essay. So the big thing with the essay, the big difference there, is the essay has to be marked by the teacher. So just keep that in mind. If you are not wanting to have something where you have to mark it for them to get their final mark for this lesson, then don't put in essay questions because they won't be automatically marked. So they're going to write me lyrics to a song they've just created for the song essay, and I can change the score. Let's bump the score up to 5 because it's a much more difficult question, so it's out of 5 instead of 1, and that's it. And this jump again we'll figure out in just a moment, so we'll save that. Okay, now the last thing is I'm going to end this cluster. So I'm going to add an end of cluster, and right now we have the start of the cluster is the 4-question final quiz, and then we have the end of cluster here. And I might just rename that just for our purposes here. End of, let's call this final quiz. Okay, but it's just the end of the cluster. Okay, so now I have actually everything that I need for the flowchart, and now it's time to put in these lines, essentially the flow of the flowchart. So I have all the content, time to put in the flow, and that is where the jumps are. The jumps are basically the flow of this. So this is again where you're going to want this flowchart so that you jump things properly. Like, honestly, I'm not sure how you'd keep it all straight in your head. Unless it's a very simple, straightforward structure and your flowcharts always look the same for every lesson, then maybe it'd be okay. Alright, so now we got to go back into these. Now the jumps are going to make sense because now when you click on it, you actually have all the pages in your flowchart. Well, this is the very first one. This is called Intro to Good Songs, and so the only next jump is going to go into the song IQ test. So you go back in here. This is content 1, so there's a button at the bottom, and I want it to go to song IQ test because that's what this flowchart tells me to do. Go to song IQ test. So save page. Now that page is done. Oh, there's also a next page here. So let me just go back in here, because what I forgot is we also created a button where you can quit. So the quitting would be go to end lesson. So now we'll save it. And now you can see in here in this collapsed view that there's the jumps are to the song IQ test and the end of lesson. Perfect. Let's go to the multiple choice one now. So in the test, remember, according to the flowchart, if you get the answer right, you go on to country music. But if you get it wrong, you go to the really are you sure content page. So let's go down there. The right answer goes to the country music. Okay, and the wrong answers will go actually back to the song IQ test. And same with this question, this answer 3, and same with answer 4. So you can see how things are a little more complicated. I'll save that page now. All right, all those are looking good. Multiple choice. What's next? The next is what happens when you're in the really are you sure? You'll notice it goes to the song IQ test. I see that I've screwed up already. These questions, the wrong ones, are supposed to go to really are you sure? Wow. See, without this flowchart, and this is the second time I'm doing this, so let's go and change this around. So it shouldn't go to the song IQ test, it goes to the really are you sure, and that's the part that teaches them that actually the real, what the answer to that question should be. So let me change that all back. That. Okay, so now we're on track. So it goes to really are you sure. From really are you sure, we need to edit this one. This should go to song IQ. So instead of this page, we go to song IQ, and then we save the page. All right, so the first 3 here represent these first 3 and all their arrows that go into them and away from them. Those are all done. So the next thing is the country music. Now you'll notice that the country music, the only thing it goes to is a country music test. So we go into this. Country music test. There we go. Save that. And so on. Now I don't want to bore you with all these ones. So I'm going to just quickly, well, maybe I'll do this next one and then I'll skip ahead, although it's not skipping too much. You can also just fast forward this video a bit if you like. Country music test. So that is going to go, whether it's right or wrong, all to the parody music. And so let's go to that. Country music test. Both answers are going to go to the parody music. And this one as well goes to the parody music. So whether they got it right or wrong, they're going to go to the parody music. Okay, and then parody music, all is going to go to the best music, and then best music to here. So let me just, I'll cut to right here, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so for the 4-question final quiz, this is a cluster, and so the way clusters work, right here, this cluster, we keep it jumping to the unseen question with a cluster. So this will actually jump to the next question in the cluster, or a random question in the cluster that has not yet been answered. And there's different ways to do this, but or I've seen that there's different ways. I've never tried it different ways. Okay, so then all these questions here, instead of next page or this page, we're actually going to change all of them to jump back. So if it's correct response, it's going to jump back to the 4-question quiz. And if it's a wrong response, it's still going to do the same thing. Okay, you can design so that it jumps back and the kids can try again and again until they get it right. But this way, I guess I can just show you here. This way, all the questions you do are going to jump you back to the 4-question final quiz. And if there's any unseen questions, it's going to jump to that. If all the questions have been answered once, then it's going to say, and it's going to end the cluster. Okay. So that's kind of cool. Let's go to all these now. Again, all of these should be back to the original to basically the start of the cluster. Oh yeah, and then all other answers are going to go back to the cluster. Okay, so you can see they're all going there. Let's go to the short answer. Again, back to that cluster. And all other answers, back to the cluster. Okay, the essay one, same thing. Not next page. Let's go back to this 4-question final quiz. So all the questions are going back to the start of the cluster, whatever you call that. And then the cluster is basically every time it goes back to there, it says, okay, next one, and then it's random each time. So it's nice. Now at the end of the quiz, this final quiz, or the end of the cluster, this is according to our flowchart, that's the end of the lesson. So we're actually going to just go, instead of next page, we're going to say end of lesson and save that. So now we created all the content, all the questions, all the cluster, and then we did all the jumps second. And now, only now, we can now go in and preview this. And what I'd suggest for previewing your lessons to see if it's all good is to actually switch out of your teacher role and switch to student role. And I don't have permission to do that. Feels like I do have permission. Okay, and then once you're in the student role, then you can actually check it out. Okay, and you can go through all this, and it should cycle you through this lesson. So I don't need to necessarily go through all the questions again, but oh, this is cool. I actually made it small. I wonder if that was a glitch. I think it was. I didn't link these properly, these videos apparently. Anyway, those are Weird Al videos. And then we answer the last questions. Here, I guess I will just go through this quickly. Here's the song, and here's my random clearly wrong. That's the multiple, the matching. Here's how old you are. Well, let's get one question right. How about? And then you've earned 3 out of 5 for your automatically graded questions, and your one essay question will be graded on the final. So again, I got 30. I should have really went for a different mark here, but okay. And then that would be it. You can go back to your psychology or your Moodle time course. So that's just a look at how to create a lesson. And I know it's a long video, but it's a lot of work, and I really recommend creating some sort of flow chart, at least on paper, so you can keep track of where things are going. Good luck. The next video is going to be about quizzes. We'll see you then.